Greetings! Sorry it's been a while since I've been available, but my voice keeps coming and going with these seasonal allergies that have been kicking my butt. But it so happens I was in good enough health last night that I went to a Star Trek Attack Wing tournament, and I thought I'd share with you my build and how well I did. I didn't win, but I did come in third place. And I did it with an interesting Federation build. I say interesting, but the truth is, being as it's only my second Attack Wing tournament, it's actually a really simple, idiot build that anybody could have run. But I'm going to share it anyways because I think it's a good training build for people that are just getting into the scene. Alright, so being as I got 90 points and then a blind booster to build a 30-point ship off of, I'm going to leave that last 30 points alone and just talk about the 90 points I brought, which is probably the right way to go. Anyways, the first ship was a generic Sovereign class ship. I didn't want to go the full-blown into the Enterprise E because I didn't want to spend the extra points using a torpedo special ability that I wasn't going to use since I wasn't going to be packing torpedoes. But, so sacrificing the extra shield wasn't going to be much of a bother to me. Figure worst comes to worst, I'm going to be bringing Scotty into this build so I can always repair a shield or two if it comes down to the wire. Or so I hope anyway. Jean-Luc Picard is captain because, you know, the base set Jean-Luc Picard. Because, yeah, extra actions are good. So being able to go in and take the Montgomery Scott action and then still take a target lock if I'm on the offensive, or take an extra evade if I'm worried about being on the defensive, was awesome. Or even having the option to use O'Brien instead. Because, yeah, so I bring Montgomery Scott because flipping a few shields over temporarily to get an extra 2 dice attack on the Sovereign monster, that's 7 dice going in on the offensive. There aren't a lot of ships. Hell, there are ships from the blind boosters that die after an attack that big, especially if you use the target lock to re-roll some of your misses into hits. So yeah, it's just badass. And then later on being able to resort to having Scotty repair shields once you're no longer on the offensive. But you should always be on the offensive because the point of this build is that every ship fires in 360 degrees. Yeah, that's why I brought the dorsal phaser array here, that I can get my 5 dice or 7 dice cheese in any direction. It doesn't matter what direction I'm pointing. The point of this build is both of my ships are just going to try to circle around my opponents and broadside the snot out of them no matter what direction they're facing, and it's really awesome. So the reason Miles O'Brien is in the build is there is some tech out there that can make things a little annoying, and he's really good for shutting off things like multi-adaptive shields or, say, Borg-plated armor and stuff like that. So having that 2 points that can bring down a massive threat it's really useful in the build. And this, my friends, is why I chose the USS Voyager for my other ship, commanded by none other than the original series Captain James T. Kirk. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. The Voyager has a built-in ability that basically works the same as the dorsal phaser. Of course, that does mean I end up having to gain an auxiliary token every turn as part of the effect. This is fun. This is why we packed Pavel Chekhov on this ship, because it means I don't have to alter my movement pattern at all. So you take the auxiliary token during the firing phase and move however the hell you want as long as it's not a red maneuver, and the token still goes away before your next action kicks in anyways. So it's not hurting my action economy at all. And the point of having James T. Kirk in this build is because notice that both of my ships have Captain 9s. The point is to try to shoot before Borg ships and everything, whatever else you're up against. Captain 9s get to shoot first, and that is hella powerful. So, yeah, I'm not getting a lot of upgrades on these ships, but like I said, it's a simple build. The whole point is big attacks going first, and even though Voyager isn't a huge attack at 4 dice, it's still attacking at 360. It's still pretty useful for doing cleanup work. Focus fire, of course, is the rule of the day. Making sure you take out your opponent's targets one at a time and not worrying about where they're at because you can shoot 360. In any situation, though, Voyager is also a very survivable ship, having 5 shields and all. So I figured cheat death is the way to go. Again, having Kirk being able to play cheat death face down so your opponent doesn't know about it. If they try to whack Voyager in half in one hit, then you just back down with cheat death and be like, nope, you didn't know it, but I have 1 hull left, no matter what you try to do to me. it's a pretty nice surprise. Granted, from what I understand, most people that take just one face down with Kirk take cheat death anyway, so it may not be as much of a surprise, but paying 3 points for a 5-point throwaway card it's still one of the reasons to take Kirk in the first place, and I couldn't turn it down with this build. Now, of course, if you're playing with a friend, you're going to end up playing a 100-point game without blind boosters. So in that case, I recommend using the flagship resource, specifically the independent side of the Federation one, because having Jim Kirk be able to hand off even more actions to Johnny Picard and the Sovereign, it's just awesome, because then you can take like battle stations and really wreak havoc with that big attack on the Sovereign. Not to say that having Voyager shooting 360 with 5 dice sucks, because no, that's actually awesome as well as the free evade you get. So it frees up the target, the ability to target lock with your main action as well. Of course, having 5 hull and 6 shields is nothing to laugh about either. So pimping this particular flagship on Voyager, I recommend it 100%. So yeah, like I was saying, it's not a very complicated or combo-heavy build. I mean, there's kind of a combo in there, and we're using Pavel Chekhov on Voyager to get rid of the auxiliary tokens you use whenever you fire the wrong direction. But ultimately, you're just doing circles around your opponent. You don't have to point right at them because you have the ability to fire in 360s. You move last so you can see what they're doing. You shoot first, so hopefully you can kill one of their ships before it fires at you. It's a dirty but simple and effective build, and it doesn't actually require a hell of a lot of purchase to get in, too, so if you're interested in the game and thematically want to play Federation, it's a good starting build. You need the starter kit, obviously, so you can get Picard. You need the Sovereign so that you can get the Sovereign and the dorsal phaser array, so you need the Enterprise E setup. You need the original series Enterprise so that you can get Captain Kirk and Montgomery Scott. You need the USS Reliance so you can get your hands on that Chekhov. And of course you need the Voyager so you can get your hands on Voyager. Yeah, cheat death comes with Jim Kirk as well. Yeah, it's a decent build, especially for someone who's brand new to the game and just getting started. It's really easy to put together. And it's fairly effective on the tabletop against tournament builds. So give it a shot if you're just getting into the game and you want to play Feds. That's it for now. I'm going to come back next time with some Dice Masters because I just got my hands on some D&D Dice Masters, and I'm going to get a feel for how some of those work and talk about some of my favorite dice. Game on, folks. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.